rights of the women, their respect, their status has come along through whatever history we know of. How far do we think we have come?
Not far enough.
No? What is it you wanted to change? If you had your way, what would you change?
Equal payment,
Okay, equal pay.
gender roles.
Second,
Gender roles different for you.
gender wars.
Yeah.
Okay. Are those those are not literal wars, are they? Then? Like, do you think they're literal? Like, obviously, men and women are not fighting each other. Are they? Maybe verbal, like maybe psychological, maybe societal. Yeah, that sort of thing. So, what is it you would change if you had the option?
I would do more research on menstruation because many women are in pain each month.
But that's natural, isn't it?
Well, the pain seems very, I don't know, I don't want to, I want kind of for someone to research something so that they will be less in pain. I don't know if suffering is natural, I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, pain is like your body sending you a signal that something is wrong. Like when you have a toothache, would you prefer to have a toothache or would you not? If something was wrong with your teeth, I think I would prefer to have a toothache because my body is then telling me to get it fixed. Otherwise it'll just rot and without me knowing it.
But at the moment, many women are in pain, and we know they're in pain, and we have no idea
How
why.
to fix it.
There's nothing
Okay.
to fix.
I'm not an expert, a medical expert, but I'm sure there are reasons for, you're talking about menstrual pains, yeah? Is that what you're referring to? Yeah, I'm sure they know why it is, but it is not something which is uncommon. So it's not like something that is imposed by either men or some other agents. It is something which is natural, and I think it differs, it varies in different women, isn't it? It's not the same. So yeah, I mean, obviously, they take painkillers, I don't know what they do. Is that what they normally do?
They do take painkillers. That's one of the only options there
Okay.
are. But there are many women it doesn't help. Because, for example, there's something called endometriosis. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Say again?
Endometriosis.
No, I haven't heard of that.
It's linked to period pain, but it's actually a broader sickness, chronic disease.
Okay.
And for example, these women take medication to help, but it doesn't help.
It doesn't help them.
It's not, yeah.
Okay.
So science doesn't
So maybe
look into it.
the experts should take
The experts
note and maybe
Exactly.
find a means to maybe relieve them of the pain.
Yeah.
I don't think they can completely get rid of it, but at least give them some sort of
Yeah.
comfort in a way. But besides that, what else? I mean, I'm talking about the status of the women. What is it you would change in today's world? I know you're young women. You're very passionate about, obviously, what you believe in. So, as far as the status of women is concerned, do you think it's degrading? Is getting worse? Is degrading, or is it getting better?
I feel like we have to be optimistic, so I don't think it's useful to say that it's degrading whenever, obviously there's things happening like, I don't know, what's a bad thing happening to women? Like, there's like,
Because I personally feel it's degrading. It's getting worse and worse, especially because of two things. One is with the internet and the social media being very cheap. The internet being very cheap, and this goes across the board. Like some of the poorest places, like let's say some really poor place where they didn't even have proper food and all, they would have like really cheap internet in that place. I'm talking about places in Asia and Africa, yeah, where they wouldn't have like proper food or even clean water access, but they would definitely have internet. And places like this, across the globe, not just these places, if you look at the porn industry, it has become a mega billion-dollar industry today. And, things like, what is that OnlyFans thing, like these are women literally selling themselves online for money. Yeah, this is legal prostitution if you ask me. Now, if you guys, I don't know, do you consider that as degradation? Because I definitely do. I mean, women's body are not to be exploited like that for money. Yes, I'm sure your mothers and your grandmothers, they didn't think that way. And I'm pretty sure you guys don't think that way either. So I personally think it's getting worse. Instead of raising the standard of the women, they are being objectified. They're used to sell matchsticks and cigarettes and chocolate and cars. I mean, naked women. What's the connection with all of this? Like I'm a Muslim, by the way. In Islam, we did not have this from the very beginning. Like pre-Islam, when a girl used to be born, they used to bury them alive. That is how bad it was. Because for them, a girl or a woman was like something which is bad for their family. It's like some sort of a curse for them. And this, you the mom? No, sorry. Okay. No problem. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, it was really that bad that they used to consider having a girl as a curse. So they used to literally bury them alive. Like, we don't want any of that. And that is pretty much alive even today. Even though we don't do it like after being born, we do it before the child is born. Yes. Like recently there was a case study. Like in the United Kingdom, the number of abortions because that they were girl. Yes. And these are mostly like Hindu communities. Even today, unfortunately, in the educated societies, like some of these are doctors and engineers, these people, they abort the child because it's a girl. So the degradation is still there. This sort of women being like some sort of a secondary human, unfortunately, still lives in the mentality of many people. We haven't come very far off still. There's still a lot of work to be done. But I'll tell you about Islam. In Islam, you must have seen many times that they are covered. Yeah? They're not covered because they are ashamed that they're women. They're covered to protect their chastity. In the sense that, when a nun is covered from head to toe, yeah, what is the message the nun is sending to the people? That I have dedicated my life to God. Similarly, a believing Muslim woman also does the same thing. When she is covered, she's saying, I've dedicated my life to God, and my beauty and my chastity and everything else is for my husband, or it can be shown to his family members, obviously. Yeah. So this is something that is the case. But today in the West, like I told you about pornography being rampant. I mean, we are talking about kids going to school because they got access to the internet and the phone. Now it has become normalized, like to watch. Yeah.
So you think the solution to the objectification of women is for women to cover up more?
No, I'm not saying that's the solution. I'm saying the solution is first to recognize that there is something wrong in the society and not to let it get worse. That is the number one, because unless we acknowledge that something is wrong, there's no way we are going to work to prevent or find a solution to it. But once it's been normalized in the society like it is today, then it becomes problematic because now everybody thinks that's okay. It's normal to watch porn. It's normal. It has destroyed many families. Do you know that? Because of that. Because the expectation of the men has now gone high. Yes, because of watching that filth. They think all women are supposed to be of that standard, but they are not. Even the men are not of that standard, but they expect the women to be of that standard. It has destroyed families. It has caused divorces. It has caused adultery, fornication within the society. So we have to acknowledge that these are the vices in the society and they are linked. By the way, these kind of things were there before porn came into our world as well. Like it was there, but it wasn't this bad. It has got even worse. So being Women's Day, I didn't even know that today. Was it Women's Day? Like, who is addressing this amongst the women? We see the liberal, we see the feminists. None of them are speaking against this because this is causing a lot of harm. But they are focusing their attention to other things, like men and women should be equal. But they're not really equal, neither physically nor psychologically. And this is from scientific studies. But we don't, as Muslims, we don't consider them to be rivals. We consider them to be complementing each other. They help each other. When you get married, you're a partner. That's why the term partner is there. What does partner mean? Doesn't mean that one is more equal than the other or less equal than the other. It means they complement each other. They have their own specific roles, which they play in the society, and they work on that. But when you consider everything to be a rivalry, then the families break apart, the marriages break apart, society breaks apart. Today we see a lot of young women being single mothers. Why? Because this is what, unfortunately, the kind of worldview that we have of secularism and liberalism has made it. I'm not saying it is all bad, but they have actually instill these ideas in the head of our young people that today a woman can be independent. Yes, of course she can be independent, but they make it as a rivalry. When they say a woman can be independent, they are saying as opposed to the opposite gender. Yes, they both can be independent, but then look at the consequences of that. When a woman spends her career, like takes 30 years or 20 years, and then goes on to climb the career ladder, by that time she's already, gone the past date when she can have children now. So what happens? Many of them say that we don't want children. Many of them say that, oh, I wish I had a child. Now that I'm older, someone I can actually, relate to. Someone, when I get older, can look after me. Because all of this comes as a family package. But our families are being broken apart today because of this so-called negative, not negative, they package it as positive, but the impact and the consequence of that is negative. Yeah? So what do you make of that so far? Because I don't want to just preach here. I want your response. Like, maybe I've said something wrong that you want to correct me.
What do you think the consequences of women being more independent right now are negative? But in itself,
what do you understand when you say independent? What do you understand by that? Whom are you really working for?
for yourself.
No, for your company.
No, for yourself.
I'll tell you why. Here's the thing. There are many women, I'm not talking about you, yeah? I'm talking about many of these feminists, and some of them are really, they don't really like men at all. I don't know why. Okay, but I'm not talking about all women. I'm talking about those feminists. When they come home and the husband asks them to make tea, they will be like, go get it yourself. Now the same request at her workplace, when the boss tells her, dear, can you make me a cup of tea? Without questioning, she'll run, get a cup of tea.
But these are two different. You're saying women, the consequences of women's independence are bad because women still work for other people when they're at work and when they're working at a company. But there are many women who don't work at a company, so I don't think these two have anything directly.
No, but most women, they do work for someone. I'm talking about I'm talking about the career ladders. They do work for someone. There's no doubt about it. I'm not saying that there aren't independent women who have their own businesses and so on. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that majority of them do work somewhere. I just gave you a glimpse of what the request is from your own family versus request from your boss. So, these things, like I said, they are so normalized that we don't even recognize what really.
What is it like a man for a company? Who is he serving by working for the company? Is it the same?
We are talking about a marriage versus work. Two different things. I'm not saying the man doesn't work for others. Of course he does. When he's employed by someone, he does work for someone. Okay? But you see, the mentality that has been created, that when a man requests something from the wife, she considers it's some sort of a unpaid role or a job. When that mentality is there, then it becomes poisonous.
Why?
Because in a marriage, like I said, they complement each other.
Okay,
So there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with the husband asking the woman for a cup of tea, or the other way around. Nothing wrong. But when the mentality is such that I shouldn't do anything for you, okay, I will do what I like.
But what do men do for the woman in that case?
Say again?
What does the man do for the wife?
Everything basically. Most of the time, if you look around, like right now, there's a war going on in the Middle East. Yeah. Guess who's fighting on the front lines?
Yeah, so is it good to fight?
I'm asking you, who's fighting on the front line? I'm not saying it's good to fight. Please don't misinterpret what I'm saying. Okay? By the way, do you agree those wars are wrong? Do you agree those wars are wrong? So do I. But I'm not saying that is the case. I'm saying when you ask what do they do, look throughout the history what men have done.
Yeah, you're right.
And by the way, I'm not saying only men do it. I'm saying both do it. They complement each other. I keep repeating this. It is not like, because what you have now made it as, what did they do? It seems like a rivalry.
I don't understand the word rivalry.
Rivalry, it's like some sort of a competition between the two genders.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is not. It is not. They need each other. Do you agree?
I don't know.
Yeah, but women are.
Wait, you're saying you don't need men?
I don't know.
You don't know, really?
I'm not sure. I do.
Did you exist because of a man and a woman? Or you did, so you didn't need both, right?
Yeah, maybe if there was no man, I would exist in another plane of existence. Who knows?
You think women should exist on Venus?
On Venus?
Venus is a planet.
I don't know. Not.
You don't know, really?
No, I don't know.
Do you think women should be on a different planet?
I know now I'm alive because of the man and the women, but
Yeah.
it doesn't matter because now I'm alive and that's in the past. But
Okay.
what I wanted to say was that the reason why these men are fighting in the Middle East is not because they're fighting for women. And
I didn't say they were.
they're doing something great for women. No, they're not. They're fighting these other men.
No, I'm not saying they were. All right. And by the way, it's not just war. It's like anything to do with basically power and energy. Like take the fire brigade for example, who are mostly the fire brigade, not the women definitely. Okay. Take even other things which don't require a lot of energy and strength. Yes, especially like physics and maths. Who are most of the graduates from these fields? Men again.
Depends on culture. In some culture, women are better in math. In Western culture,
We are not talking about exceptions. We are talking about generally.
No,
Generally,
because in Western world, indeed, you're right about Western
Yeah.
world. But in other type of culture, it's different.
which other world are you talking about, if not the Western world?
I think it's like.
Give me an example of anywhere in the world where the number or the proportion of, the gender proportion is higher for things like maths and physics.
Well,
It's higher because we push the children to be better in mathematics.
We didn't push. No.
No, in school.
I don't think in the school they tell you men study maths and physics, women study arts. I don't think they pushed anyone.
It's a general culture from the family, the people in the street, or people like you saying this.
No, but I'm saying in the West.
Implements the idea
In the West,
that-
they're given freedom in everything.
No, it's not
The
so
child gets
true.
brought
So-
up and a girl gets played with dolls, a boy gets given bricks to build and plays with cars. That obviously influence what they are later going to be doing.
No, but that doesn't stop them going to. Just because you play with dolls doesn't mean you can't take up maths.
But it's harder.
It makes no sense, honestly.
It's less common. That's
No,
the reason why
this is like I said earlier. Men and women are not only different physically but also mentally.
But they are
So
raised
even-
in a very different way to emphasize this.
By the way, this is something you can't deny. I'm sorry. There are exceptions, by the way, exceptions to this rule.
I'm denying. I'm saying the gap is being much bigger because we are raising kids in a very different ways, girls and boys.
Okay, so tell me how would you raise your kid if you wanted him to go to maths or physics? How differently would you raise them?
Well, give them toys.
I think I would.
Toys, maths and physics?
No, I
Okay,
don't-
for maths, which toys would you give them?
I would give him, I don't know the name of the toy thing where you can count things.
Yeah, you can't give that to your daughter?
I would obviously raise my children the same
Come on, guys, you guys are just making up things.
No, it's
By the way, this is not me saying it. This is studies conducted by experts in this field. What I'm saying is that in these fields where you require maths and physics, numbers and analytics, this is field where mostly men graduate. I'm not saying no women at all graduate. I'm saying they are a minority. There are exceptions to the rule. But you see, this is after how many years of feminism? This is still the case. It means that we are wired differently for different roles. You can laugh at me as much as you want. I'm talking about genuine scientific, like case studies by
Yeah.
what?
It's
talking
not
about
scientifically
200
proven
years
that
of
women have a brain that's different from men's, and they are less.
They are wired differently.
No, exactly.
It is-
That's
it is
not
scientifically
proven.
proven, actually, it
I
is.
did my fucking A levels on that,
On what?
on the difference, on the.
Okay, so explain to me why there are more graduates in maths and physics.
We try to explain it to you.
You use dolls and games. That is not scientific. I'm sorry to say
There are
this.
stereotypes in our society.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Give me an example of what you would give different. If you had a boy and if you had a girl, if you wanted both of them to excel in maths, just one second, what would you give them different? What games would you give them
I
different?
would read them books on math people.
Thank you. Can you do the same for boys and
I
girls?
can do the same, but that's not what's happening. People are not doing
So
that.
you actually think here in the West,
Yeah.
the parents are actually promoting maths more with the boys?
Yes. It's
Where is
not-
the scientific study for
not
that?
on purpose. It's
Where?
consciously because you think a boy would rather like that and a girl would
No, I'm sorry. This is just you thinking aloud without any basis
Well,
here.
I think- girl and a
That's
boy.
us. When we say our arguments, and you're just thinking it out. You're not saying you're not actually saying anything.
Wa alaikum
And
salam
you're
wa rahmatullah.
listening
So we are just discussing with the ladies here. This is my friend, brother Zishan.
Are you listening to me?
Yeah. You said the reason. By the way, the argument. There are more graduates from maths and physics, for more men graduating maths and physics than women. And the ladies here, the argument is that because they are brought up different. Oh, I'm saying they are wired differently. What do you think? I think there are studies done by experts in this field. Yes?
Name the studies you're talking about, because we have not seen.
You got anything, Zishan, that you can name?
Yeah.
He's done a video on this. That's why I called him. So yes, there are definitely studies, and we are not just making this up. But you,
Said earlier.
Yeah, go on.
It was some time ago. You were talking about Muslim religion that women were appealed to dedicate to the life to God and
Yeah.
to her husband. Yeah.
to be identified as people who have dedicated their life to God, just like a nun.
Yeah.
Yes?
Okay, I see the.
You're from France, I'm assuming, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you religiously affiliated or you're not?
No, but I've got my question is about. So this is a physical, visible way to see a woman is dedicated to God. And
Yes.
what is a visible way for a man to express himself his dedication to God?
Yeah, there are many ways. I mean,
So
for example, if you look at all the people from the past, I mean, they have either beards or they have some headgear to show them. But mostly the women, like for example, the nuns and the Muslim women, they do this because they can identify from the normal women out there, okay, who go about their life. Some of them, like you probably don't care about religion, do you?
no.
Yeah, so that will be
I'm a
different.
bit curious, but
So your lifestyle will be different from the one who has dedicated her life to God. Do you
Yeah.
agree?
Huh?
Do you agree that
Yeah,
your
I
life
agree.
will be
Yeah, I
different?
agree.
So the way you dress, the way you probably carry yourself about, even what you eat, even how you know be around your society and so on, will be different from the nun.
Yeah,
Do you
sure.
agree? It's the same in Islam, by the way.
Yeah, but so what about like a man who would express his will to be a monk, but in the lay society? How would he do in a Muslim?
Yeah, in Islam, we judge people by the action.
Okay.
Okay, so in Islam, we have the 5 pillars of Islam. Are you aware of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the oneness of God. We pray 5 times a day. We give zakat, giving charity to the poor. We fast in the month of Ramadan. By the way, this is the month of Ramadan.
Yeah, I know.
We finished more than half of it. And the final pillar being Hajj for those people who can afford it and who are
to go to
capable
Mecca.
of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But so there is no visible sign of the dedication of
The visible
women.
sign are the beard, basically.
The beard.
It's,
So I found
it's-
a
yeah.
study. It's Rosmin Halari 2006, which says verbal fluency is better in women and mental rotation is better in
She's
men.
happy.
So
In
verbal.
what? In all the world?
Sorry.
In everywhere in the world?
Generally speaking, in the sample that they took, because obviously science is going to be based on induction.
Yeah.
That's the primary kind of way. And then there's others talking about certain being different. For example, in men, the third interstitial nucleus of the anterior hypothalamus is larger in men. Sorry about that.
What are you doing, man? There's nothing here.
And
Stop interrupting. Yes, Sidawa.
And
Sorry,
even if you
accept
look at greater white matter connections, they're greater in men, and there are greater connections between the two hemispheres for women. That's by Madura in Galheker in 2013. So these are just like a few studies talking about the kind of biology of the brain and how the brain works.
Do you understand why the differences between men and women in, for example, in physics or in other things that are like...
That's what he was saying about the mental.
Exactly.
The study was the mental.
Biologically, yeah.
A big amount of the difference between men and women is due to how they're brought up and due to how society views men as, for example, in more technological jobs and women more at home, and how children see that, and that way many girls rather do a job that's like not mathematical.
I've just given you an example where it's biological differences. It's how the brains are for men and women. It's not to do with upbringing.
This is what I meant about they're wired differently.
I can also read some studies on that. I have, however, also read some studies where the differences, the biological difference, are like very, very small, but the societal difference is bigger, so that the results of these studies obviously refer more to the societal differences when they're talking about the differences.
Yeah, when you're talking about biological changes or differences within the brain, you're not going to have multiple studies on the difference between the size of the amygdala or the third interstitial tissue.
That's not what she's saying. She's saying that the impact of the differences in our biological body, of how men and women are differently smaller, and the impact of how society treats.
Yeah, but is this from a
She made
study or
another
is this
point after that as well.
what you just said? Is that from your own feeling or is it an actual study, scientific study?
This is, of course, a study, or like it's a phenomenon, but
Can you name the study like the way he did?
it's sociological.
Yeah, but which study?
On the whole thing,
Which study conducted and concluded what you said?
I have to research. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you can.
Because there's two types of studies. When it comes to sociological study, person can make the argument that you've made that, you know, depending on which part of the world you are, depending on who's conducting the research, you can come to and arrive to different conclusions. But when it's a biological study dealing with the sizes of certain parts of the brain, you're not going to have much difference of opinion about that.
I know, but the sizes of, or how our brain connected is also also results in how people are brought up.
Yeah, you're talking more from a sociological. I'm in agreement with you. There was once upon a time where, you know, pink was used for men, and you know, like definitely. But we're talking in terms of like physiological
I know.
differences between
and
men and women.
I agree with you that the biological difference between men and women is there.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, it's very small, and we shouldn't focus on that because the difference that is sociological, how women are raised and how men are raised, or how girls and boys are raised, is bigger, and that's what, when we're discussing politics, obviously, it has more impact on how we view women and how women are. The sociological things are more important than the biological differences.
Yeah, but the thing there is that it's fine that that's your, yeah, I know. It's fine that that's your opinion, I get it, but when you look at certain studies within biology, like the size of the amygdala, or the chemical, how the different cycles of chemistry within a woman through the month and how it affects her temperament. So when you're looking at these studies, then it does definitely contribute to the sociological impact that you're referring to as well. So you can't, in other words, you can't divorce one from the other.
I understand.
Yeah,
I understand, but the amygdala.
Yeah, the size of the amygdala is different, and that's needed for fight or flight, and that's how we kind of deal with stress. The amygdala is definitely part of that,
Okay, and which
regulating
one is
emotions.
bigger, the men's or the women's amygdala?
Yeah, let me get you exactly.
Because I don't know what it does also.
Yeah, no problem. You can check. Yeah.
Are they trying to
Because he's saying one is dependent on the other. So maybe that is the reason. So we are not completely saying that society has no impact. It does have impact, but today, you know, given that feminism has been around for so long, yes, now even particularly in the West, when they say that everyone should be equal. So when the boys and the girls go to school, do you think they're treated differently? You think they're treated differently? Can you show me why they're different?
I tried to explain a bit to you, but you said that it wasn't an actual argument, and you said that I was
you gave me the example of dogs.
Yeah.
I said, so that, you know, when you go to school, like maybe in primary school you play with dolls. When you go to elementary and secondary, yes, we don't see this discrepancy like you're trying to say that they are treated differently. I don't think so.
So why exactly?
Wait, I'm talking to her. Can you tell me, please? Yeah?
Did you ask
Another
in
example?
Afghanistan?
Yeah, we are not about Afghanistan, just hold on.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
So you see, they are not treated differently. Are they? In the school?
I'm saying they're treated differently. And
Sorry?
if you don't understand, they're treated
So,
differently.
okay, I'll tell you what. Give me your example. In the secondary school, how were you treated differently to the boys? Let's see.
Okay, so apart from the dolls, I played with different toys because I was.
No, I'm saying secondary school.
Okay.
When you were in secondary school, how were you both treated differently to the boys?
Another example of how girls are treated differently is the kind of media that they watch. For example, when I watch a series, and that series shows women in a certain, like, only shows women that are, for example, only working at home and only working.
No, I'm talking about secondary school. So let's stick to the topic.
Yeah.
When you were in secondary school,
Yeah.
with your counterparts, the boys,
Yeah.
were you both treated differently?
Yes.
Suffer.
In
Where?
what sense?
How?
In what sense?
Because there is, okay, everyone in the society has a different stereotype about women than they do about men.
Then I'm saying, how were you
Everybody sees
treated differently?
Women or girls.
No, in the
differently
school.
than men. Okay, and that's
In the
why
society, I agree.
teachers-
There's difference. In the
that's why
society, I agree. There's
teachers-
difference. Yeah.
Teachers,
Yeah.
and also everybody else sees me differently than they would see me if
In
I was
what
a boy.
sense?
Like you are also seeing me differently right now.
I honestly don't know how in secondary school you're from Germany, yeah? In German schools, how are the boys treated differently in a secondary school compared to the girls?
Okay, for example, a teacher, when I would be good at maths, then the teacher would be like, oh wow, this is a very special case that she's good at math. Whereas boys, everybody, or like most people think that boys are generally better at math. You said that because it was biological. People would think, yeah, okay, this boy is obviously good and he's going to study and blah blah blah. But when I would study math, then people would be like, oh, okay, that's very special. Wow, you're studying math.
So is it your interpretation that the way the teacher addressed you, it was as if they were highlighting or expressing the fact that, girls typically aren't too good at maths? Is it the way you viewed it, or is it something that he said clearly that made you conclude that, you know what, he's discriminating here?
It was not direct discrimination.
I think you're saying they were surprised that you're good at
I
maths.
think
Is that what you're
that's
saying?
the first thing that-
Yeah, so you interpreted from his behavior that it seemed like he was surprised that you were good
Yeah,
at
exactly. You're
maths.
surprised. So he would encourage you if you were good at maths, and the same thing would apply to the boys, right?
My dear friend.
If a boy was good at maths, yes, then the teacher would encourage the boy as well. So I don't see how they're treated differently.
Can I ask you something?
No, you can't actually. We're talking about a different topic. All right. So
Can I?
okay.
Keep it quiet. Are you familiar?
No, we're not talking about that. So can you please just ignore them? Yeah.
He's not letting you think carefully.
I understand.
Are you? Carry on. Are you familiar?
No, it's not. Carry on. It's okay.
How many are familiar with Malala?
Yeah.
Malala.
Carry on.
Can we try to come
Are you
to a
familiar?
conclusion maybe? Maybe like what do we agree on and what don't we agree on? Because I feel like we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think, look,
Maybe
we certainly have something that is different between men and women. And I said, like before, we shouldn't make it like some sort of a rivalry between men and women. They complement each other. Whether it's in the society, whether it's in a family, whether it's in a marriage, all of this. So once you create a rivalries, then that is where it's wrong. For example, take the example of abortion. Okay, in abortion,
You already explained this to me.
I didn't actually.
Why
This is the first time I brought up the
exactly
term abortion.
are women?
Yeah, maybe you spoke to somebody else.
Going to
So
schools
in abortion, who gets the right to say you keep
That's
the
the
baby or you
documentary
don't?
Thing that he's
Okay,
talking about.
maybe did you learn
Boys go to
anything
school,
from me doing that
girls
discussion?
can't go to school.
Did you
What is
learn
it?
anything from me?
Say again?
Did you?
Sorry, I can't hear. You're interrupting. Okay. No, I'm not. No, I'm not pushing. I'm just standing in front of you.
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Did you? We both say what we learned from the other person during that discussion. If we had any new arguments, because
Well, this is the new
I
argument.
know what you're saying.
No, this is the new argument which I didn't discuss with you. Abortion is something where the women are given the right to decide whether the baby should be
I have.
kept alive or it should be aborted.
I have.
Do you agree?
I have.
Stay there. Don't agree.
said
Stop
enough.
interrupting other people's discussion when you don't have any. Go somewhere else, man. We're not interested in you.
I have heard enough arguments from you, and I've learned from them.
Okay, good.
And you have also heard many arguments from me. I don't know if you've actually tried to understand
What was,
them. I hope
what
so.
was the
No, I understand.
I'm just curious.
I don't
What was
want to
the
hear
point?
another argument from you.
What were
I
you
want
guys
us to
saying?
come to a conclusion because I'm kind of done arguing. Right?
Okay, that's fine. You can say you don't want to argue any further. No problem. But I wouldn't conclude based on what you said as being the reason that men and women have different. The brains are wired differently, which is a fact from biology, and also the society recognizes this. And that's the reason you brought up the example of your teacher. Like, oh, she's surprised that a girl is taking interest in maths.
Yeah.
But you see, even after many years of feminism being prevalent in Western countries, we see the number of men being more. There are more graduates in physics and maths and science from
STEM.
Yeah, STEM, which is what science. Technology, economic and maths. So in STEM, you see more men graduating than the women, and this is
Not
still the
necessarily.
case. Well, look around the statistics.
Medicine is very 50-50. There's a lot of psychology is STEM, science,
more for
technology,
men.
engineering, and mathematics. Medicine is part
But anyway,
of
thanks
science
for
and
your
technology.
time. Yeah, what's your name?
But it's more 50-50 now.
No problem. Thanks.
Anyone say
Thanks for your
anything
time.
else, like,
No.
All right, she's going away. No one's interested in you. Go away.
anyone going to research on
Why
Yeah,
in
thank you,
Islam
take care.
women are treated only as sex slaves?
Okay. Maybe you should look
What
at.
is wrong with women's brain? So
Maybe he
much
should
so,
read Numbers 31.
women are only
I don't think you read Numbers 31:17. Kill every male and take